Combs. She is an experienced, passionate, and charismatic speaker. Since 2000, Sharon has been investing herself in the success of others, captivating them with humor and openness that promotes audience engagement.
It doesn't have to be a fight between me and you. We can focus on solutions. And how do we focus on solutions? We establish common ground.
The thing I want to say is if you are fortunate enough to reach Coach Shay and set some time up with her, you're going to be very lucky.
We have assumptions, so many, and you have to check your assumptions because your assumptions can be the very barrier or bottleneck to us being able to work effectively together.
You're going to realize your true growth potential as a leader as well. She actually presented it in a way it felt new.
Heidi ho, everyone. How you doing now? This is Sharon Combs with UCDI Leadership and Be the Clay Shifting and Transition. I want to just talk to you today. We're coming upon the end of February 2026 as we're getting closer to March. March is typically a time when flowers begin to bloom. People are coming out of the cabin fever that they've experienced over the winter months, and they want to see growth. However, in order to see growth, you actually have to plant seeds. You have to be intentional in your behavior, and you actually have to cut away. Like when you decide to do something, you're cutting away from other things. Distraction is huge right now. There's so many things vying for your attention. Wherever your attention goes, your intention surely follows. So you want to be a little more disciplined there. And yeah, these things sound simple, but simple doesn't always equate to easy. So here on Be the Clay, what we do is we work with faith-based entrepreneurs. We work with high-performing women, both professional and business owners. And shifting and transition is because nothing remains constant. Transition is always occurring. It's always occurring. And you know what's so amazing about it? Is most times transition actually occurs from the inside out. And then when something happens outside, we may be caught unawares or taken by surprise. But if you are a faith-based person, are you big on intuition and leaning into, being aligned from the inside out? Most times you can kind of pick up on, oh, there were some signs that maybe either I missed or I ignored, and that allowed something to hit me kind of blindsided. And so with Be the Clay, we're looking at that, and we have one honest conversation at a time. We don't try to clean it up. Growth is messy sometimes. Sometimes it's not messy. A lot of times it is. And so we just have these honest, transparent conversations so that we can continue to grow. We can continue to go through these transitions and we can continue to make progress, shifting these transitions, being the clay. Being the clay is a biblical concept, and that some seasons you may be a spoon, some seasons you may be a bowl, some seasons you may be a cup. Sometimes you may just be the utensil that rolls out the other clay. We don't know, but I don't want you to marry a season. I want you to marry being the clay and being the clay in the potter's hand. The sooner we yield in that process, the sooner we can come out of some of the seasons that may seem to be a little harder than we would like, or inconvenience or adverse, inconvenient or an adverse situation. So those are some of the things I wanted to share with as we begin to get started in these first few minutes. I do want to say for those of you who are in our alignment series, it's once a month. Friday, we go over prayer training, not just teaching, but training, because whether you are inside of a physical brick and mortar church or not, you still want to be able to pray and communicate and connect with the Most High God. And on the next Saturday, the following day, we go over leadership training for leaders who are in business, leaders who are in a leader in your industry, a voice of your industry, an industry voice. And so we go over leadership training there so that you can be more intentional with your words, whether you want words that are going to move people to action, inflame, de-escalate, whatever type of movement or progress you want to see, you want to be able to use your language and your wording to see those things, to support them. The same way how I'm talking now, and when people are talking, they can use their hands to support and not necessarily distract, as I'm doing now. You want to be able to use your words to do the same thing. There's nothing wrong with adding words to your vocabulary. It doesn't mean you don't use the words you already have. You just add more tools to your toolbox. And language is something that you can add to your toolbox so that you can speak to different individuals. You can speak in different registries, not being fake. You want to be authentic. People recognize fake. But that leadership training helps you be able to really navigate the rooms that you find yourself in. Of course, and the thing that helps the most is the person who sets you before men of stature, the Most High. All right, so today, guys, this is what we're going to talk about. I am actually going to talk a little bit about moving from being comfortable in your workspace to stretching out. And there was a season a couple of years ago. I wanted to do some things more in my own business. However, I had gotten comfortable getting revenue. I'd gotten comfortable putting other people's deliverables in front of mine because my bills and things were paid. And what happened is when that client came to a close and I began to get calls from other clients who were in my industry, although I hadn't worked for them directly, they'd never been my clients. They reached out and they were like, "Hey, we'd like to see you do this. We'd like to see you do that." And one of the roles had to do with being like a chief of people. I never heard of chief of people, but it was a marketing group. They had a large cohort. They were really big on a certain social media platform. And I was like, man, I kind of want to take it. Now, the pay was it was less than half of what I was accustomed to generating in revenue, but it would take care of my needs. So I was like, I think I want to do it. I think I want to do it. And what I began to realize was I wasn't taking it because it was going to take care of my needs. I was taking it because it was safer than accelerating my own business. And so it was actually fear masquerading as stability. That position would have, in a perfect world, taken care of the standard cost of operations that I had, but it wouldn't allow for me to grow and it would take up my time. It's possible to have a job, and though you're happy to have a job, that job blocks you from being able to grow and have what you want to have or see what you want to see, because the time that you would give to investing in your business, you're unable to do so because you are at work on someone else's business. And in being an entrepreneur, that is one of the scariest yet rewarding and thrilling components of entrepreneurship, is that you are able to work on your own business. You're actually able to invest in your own business. Instead of making your quotas and deliverables for someone else, you're actually able to do it for yourself. And so once I was able to kind of realize that, dang, man, this is not me trying to be stable. This is fear masquerading as stability, And I had to humble myself and like chew on that. Now I have gone from writing bikes and delivering pizzas to, traveling different places around the world. A lot of things that I've been able to do that I never thought I would be able to do when I was growing up. And so I know that these things are possible. However, during times of vulnerability or times of shifting, shaking, when you're making movements, you're in between. Sometimes you want to reach out and stabilize. That's what transition will make you do. It feels like falling. If you don't know it's not falling, you're not aware of the phases of it. You kind of reach out and you just want to stabilize. But by God's grace, I was like, I don't think I want to stabilize here. I might tell myself I do, but I knew that it would be settling. And so once I could acknowledge that, that just kind of told me everything I needed to know. And so for those of you right now who you are thinking about how to grow your business, how to structure your business, is this going to be a LLC? Are you going to have a holding company? Is it a nonprofit? How are you going to structure this as far as just so that it can scale from the jump and not you catching up with it later? Those of you who are wanting to make moves into entrepreneurship and see your business grow, I just want to let you know you want to be aware of what your drivers are. Once I was able to see that that was fear, even though it sounded like wisdom and it sounded like, okay, that's what everyone does within the systems of the world that we we've grown in here in the Western culture. If I'm a faith-based entrepreneur, which I am, then even though I operate in these systems, I'm not of these systems. And even though you may operate in these systems, you're not of those systems. So you want to learn how to navigate, master them, and see how to operate within them, but you're not of them. I'm just going to let that go there. Hopefully it makes sense to you. If not, reach out to me on LinkedIn, put a comment, and say, hey, can you expound on this? And I'll expound on it more as we're getting ready for our 30-day sprint in March. Because as I said, people want to run in March. And so in March, if you are a faith-based entrepreneur and you want to do that 30-day sprint with me, just put 30-day sprint in the comments. If you are not an entrepreneur, but you do want to refocus, reassess, reimagine what your life can look like, then go ahead and just jump onto our app. And there's a program on there called the Reset Program. It's amazing in March. It's something you can work on by yourself or work on with a couple of individuals. And it is guaranteed movement. If you don't have forward movement, you don't make progress, and you're doing the work and watching videos and doing the homework, and you don't see progress that makes you be like, wow, no questions, I'll give you your money back. It's no problem. We've been doing it over a decade. I always say if it doesn't work, you can have your money back. No questions asked. No one has ever asked for their money back because they have seen it. They've seen things come to fruition. Now, let me get back to this part. So I was able to be self-aware, and I was like, okay, you're not wanting the job. You're wanting to go back to being comfortable, but comfortable for too long is still uncomfortable. And so that was good. So that allowed me to be able to sharpen, and it allowed me to be able to apply what I could see and what I could sense. I had to humble myself and be like, all right, I was going to apply for that job because it felt safer working on their business than accelerating my own. It was never about capability or possibility. It was just psychology and risk tolerance. And as an entrepreneur, you have to be aware of risk tolerance so that you can know how much yours is. Um, Stability is not neutral. It costs you something. If you take a role for someone else, you are buying predictable cash flow, external validation. It makes more sense to other people. You may be able to network more because it's a group of you, and you have reduced pressure, like to scale in your own business. It's what makes it uncomfortable though is because if you know you have the capacity and the capability to do more. So that's not about being in a stability gap or even a revenue gap. That's a courage gap. Be strong in the Lord. No, I'm just clowning, but I'm serious. So what I found is, okay, this is a courage gap. So I really had to get before the Lord and ask, hey, Father, please help me. Our Father, spirit of adoption, spirit of sonship. I had to come out of that orphan spirit and be like, look, it's Him that gives me the power to get wealth, period. And things have been so much better since that actually happened. So since that actually happened, what I want to talk to you guys about now is during that time, I had to come to terms with the fact of what my yes was. Was I saying yes to continuing to grow the business? Was I saying yes to being obedient and trusting the Lord? Was this about finances? Was it about trust? It was about trust. And so when you look at the word yes, when you say yes to something, you're saying no to other things, okay? And when you look at the psychology behind saying yes, what you're going to realize is it boosts your creativity. Once you say yes, it tells your mind what to do and how to start running and what direction you want to move in. Once you say yes, you begin to work on what you're working toward. So if you're trying to come up with a lot of options, if you're brainstorming, working on a creative project, saying yes will help you keep things moving and allow you to generate more ideas. And it also helps build rapport with other people. So don't be afraid to say yes. All you got to do is say yes. Don't be afraid to say yes. Another thing I wanted to talk about is when you say yes, recognize that you're making a commitment to yourself. Now, there's a difference between commitment and convenience. You can say yes, but then tomorrow, if you don't get up and go to work, like this is why I'm saying join us for the 30-day sprint. When you're committed to something, you're committed to it when it's going good, when it's going not so good, when it's absolutely amazing, and when it's absolutely horrifying. When you believe in the people you've come into alignment and agreement with, and when you're like, man, what are they thinking? Oh my God. But when you are committed, that's what commitment looks like. Commitment is commitment. It means I'm here. I'm here for the good, I'm here for the not so good. Convenience, on the other hand, is uh, it's purely about comfort and feeling. If it's inconvenient to me, I'm not doing it. And so when you are delegating, when you're deciding who you're going to be in partnership with, whether that is a client or someone you're bringing onto your team, you're beginning to hire, you want to make sure that the person you are hiring, the people you are coming into agreement with, you are not coming into a convenient style agreement. Because as soon as it's inconvenient for them or for you, then the work that you've invested, what you placed into it, it's really null and void, because it was about convenience. It was never about commitment. And so you want to be aware of that. I do want to share this with people who are industry professionals, who are leaders in your industry. You would want commitment as well. Even though you have positional authority and you have direct reports, you can put people on PIPs, write them up, you can give them a preceptor, you can give them somebody to, really kind of onboard them and help them learn their role. You still want to have commitment from that person. You want to have buy-in and engagement, because if you solely have compliance, they're going to, they're going to give you the bare minimum. If you have compliance only, you are going to get the bare minimum from the people who are your direct reports, from the people you are partnered with, that you're working with. Bare minimum. They're going to check the boxes. Those are the individuals who are either going to verbally say or internally say, that's not my job description. But when you have commitment, you have people who are like all hands on deck. They want to see projects move forward. They want to see goals be reached. They want to see outcomes that say, yeah, man, we absolutely did that. We crushed it. And so you want to really want to go for commitment. You want to kind of breed and promote commitment amongst your team. You want to demonstrate and be an example of commitment to your team. You don't want to be compliance only, because compliance only is just checking the boxes. It's simply checking boxes. And yeah, that's it. So whether you are a faith-based entrepreneur or an industry voice, please, please, please give it your yes and go for commitment. You don't want convenience. You don't want only compliance. Now, you want compliance, especially in healthcare or in safety industries, because compliance is what allows you to continue to grow. You want it in business because you have to be compliant within your business, within the states that you're working in, with federal regulations, things like that. However, you don't only want compliance, you want the commitment. Commitment ensures you have compliance. And you don't want just convenience, because convenience is, if it's only about convenience, if I could just be transparent, that's kind of selfish. And because I am a faith based entrepreneur and I work with faith based entrepreneurs, and I'm going to continue to work with faith based entrepreneurs, it actually puts me in the mind of the hireling. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a hireling, but in scripture, a hireling is somebody that's like a hired laborer, almost like a day laborer. They don't have a dog in the fight. They're going to go to work today, give them their money, and they're gone. They may come back tomorrow, they may not. They are not invested in the project at all. They are a hireling. And when the Bible talks about it, they say it instead of a shepherd who cares about the sheep. You have the hireling who is just like, if a wolf comes forward, the hireling's like, I'm out. I would think, again, I believe in being transparent. When I was coming up, being raised, there would be things, and I would watch movies like Point Break, and people would go rob the banks, and I would be one of the people in the movie theater or watching it on, HBO or whatever, and I would say, hey, don't you get killed? That's not your money. You just work there. Don't get killed over someone else's money. That's actually the mindset of a hireling. Although many of us would say and agree with it, because from a natural mindset, that's still the mindset of a hireling. So when you are building your business, you're learning about your business, you're wanting to grow your business, and even when you are expanding your business, which means you're adding service lines, you're taking on new partners, you're getting different sponsorships, you are actually working your business in more than one medium. Like for me, I'm big on messaging, so you have language mastery and these courses that help people, you know, finalize and refine their message. But you also have the publishing part where you're publishing books for individuals. You also have the podcasting part where you are beginning to say your message, and your message is a signal to bring people to other parts of your business. And so as you're growing like that and you begin to add different pillars to your organizational structure, you want to do your utmost to not hire hirelings. Get somebody who understands that we want to grow, we want to be people of integrity. We want our clients to win, not just for us, but we want them to win for them too. We mean it when we say win-win situation. And so these are some of the things in Beat the Clay. You have to realize that you don't you're not separate. You don't say, hey, well, I'm going to work here, and then when I come home I'll be about being the clay. Again, I understand the systems of this world may tell you to do that, but that's division, and you were never meant to be divided. You are one person. I am one person. Us as faith-based entrepreneurs, we are we're one, and you want to be aligned. You want to have alignment. So, pretty much for today, what I really wanted to hit on and what we have hit on over these past 20 minutes is we define convenience. Convenience is something that's only convenient to that person. If it feels good to me, if I want to do it, if it's no, I mean, there's no adversity, there's no challenge, there's no anything to it. It's convenient. It's right there. It's right there. It's convenient. But if I have to be uncomfortable for it or I have to go out of my way for it, I don't want to do it, okay, because it was a convenience agreement. You don't want convenience agreements. You want commitment, 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 commitment. You want a yes, a solid yes, because it's going to promote creativity. You're going to begin to be innovative in the ways that you approach your business, coming up with new and innovative ways to generate revenue, new and innovative ways to place your product or your services in front of clients. You're going to do that. And so you want to have that. That's what I wanted to share with you guys today. And I wanted to say also, listen, entrepreneurship is a whole different rhythm than being an employee for someone, having a certain time that you clock in and a certain time that you clock out. Entrepreneurship is a whole different rhythm. It is. And you are going to have to be your own supervisor. Again, that was one of the hardest things for me, because once all my needs were met, I was like, well, I don't have to. But doing one of my masterminds, not one that I lead, but one that I'm a part of, it really, and it's a faith-based cohort and mastermind. We were talking and we were looking at this, we're studying the word, and it was like God's vision never stops. And so I may be like, well, I'm okay, this is enough for me, but God's vision never stops. And what we're doing in the kingdom, we want to be able to pass that on to someone else. So, that would be like a pastor who's about to pass away, or he's gotten older in age. And because he's gotten older in age, does the church stop? No, God's vision was never designed to stop with one person. Jesus died on the cross for us, right? But God's vision didn't stop there. That was what reconciled us to it, and it fulfilled all of the requirements of the law. But the vision didn't stop. He still wants that all men to be saved, that we'll all be reconciled. He still wants us to heal the sick, cast out devils, things like that. And so with entrepreneurship, when he says write the vision, make it plain that he may run who reads it. You can write the vision and make it plain, and someone else can come and run with it. It doesn't mean you are the person who will always be running. And so, yeah, that's some of the stuff I wanted to share with you guys today. If you have any questions, please get with me. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to be able to say yes to your own business, yes to your career. I want you to be able to have say so and impact and influence your own outcomes, be they in the professional arena or in the business arena. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to have to submit yourself to the Lord. You're going to have to recognize, I am the clay. I am the clay. My makeup is always going to be the clay. The DNA of the Most High runs through me, and I am the clay. Whether I'm going to be a bowl, a spoon, a cup, or pour a utensil rolling something else out. And I trust that as I'm the clay, that I'm going to take the shape and the form that the potter wants me to take. I trust that. I trust that my steps are ordered and I follow those orders. I trust that the things that were created, the good works that were created beforehand for me to walk in, that I will walk in. And I trust those things for you all as well. So, guys, have an amazing day. If you have direct reports, pray for your direct reports. Show care, show empathy, lead them. If you find yourself frustrated with them more often than not, then spend a little more time at home, away from the job, praying for better outcomes for them, not just for you, but for them. Same thing for your clients. And try your best not to be the Harley. It gets easy because people talk and it's easy to come into agreement with conversations that you feel like are just ad hoc conversations. But listen to what it is you're saying, because we speak life whether we know it or not. That's all I have for you guys. I'm going to play a couple of things because I want you to know about the alignment series. I also want you to know about Wrong in the Room. Not in the wrong rooms, but Wrong in the Room, which really looks at how you're showing up in the room. When you go to work, when you go to meetings, when you go to networking functions, how you actually show up in the room. And Wrong in the Room is a really, really, really good reflective style ebook that will provide growth for you. It will provide conversation points for those that you may be mentoring yourself. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of those videos, and then I'll come back, say a couple of things. And after that, I'm going to hope that you all have an amazing, amazing Tuesday. And maybe I'll see you in March when we are doing our 30-day sprint. Okay, here we go.
Have you ever been in a room where everyone agreed and something in you said, "This isn't right"? Not loud, not emotional, just clear. Wrong in the Room is for professional women and faith-based entrepreneurs who lead with integrity in systems that don't always reward it. It's about discernment, decision-making, silence, courage, and faith without spectacle. If you've ever felt early instead of wrong, anchored instead of popular, this book will put language to what you already know. It's priced at $12, intentionally accessible, because it's not an ending. It's a doorway into deeper thinking, clearer leadership, and the work we do inside the ecosystem and be the clay. You don't need hype, you need clarity. Hey, if you believe that leadership is more than titles and prayer is more than words, this invitation is for you. The Alignment Prayer and Leadership Training is a private virtual experience for leaders, professionals, and purpose-driven individuals who understand this truth. Prayer and leadership are not separate lanes. They work together. No matter your role, influence, or level of visibility, if you make decisions, manage people, carry vision, or carry responsibility, alignment matters. This training will help you increase discernment and bring inner life into alignment with how we lead publicly, how you lead publicly. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, join us, because vision is non-negotiable and misalignment is costly. This isn't about performative spirituality, it's intentional prayer, grounded leadership, real alignment. If you're ready to lead with clarity, humility, and conviction, this is your room, and we would love to have you.
All right, guys, thank you so much. My name is Sharon Combs with UCDI Leadership. It is a reflection. Be the Clay is a reflection of UCDI leadership. All of it is these are frameworks within the ecosystem, which is an ecosystem of services designed to help magnify your message. If this has been of service to you and you liked it, it was helpful, please, by all means, share this podcast, share this video, share this podcast with someone that it can inspire, it can provide hope for. Another way that you can show your support is in the corner, you'll see a QR code and it simply says gift from the heart. There's no minimum, there's no maximum either. But that helps us to be able to do the things that we're doing here. It helps me be able to provide content, to travel and get to work from different spaces. And it helps me be able to really study these messages and bring them to you and provide the training in the alignment series and the training for individuals in March and in August. So if you want to do that, by all means do it. Y'all have a wonderful day. Have a great day. Be kind to somebody. Be nice to somebody, not for wealth or fame, but because it's just a good thing to do. Y'all be safe and God bless.
You have to work with other people, and sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes they are in your face. God, I'm talking to myself too. But you still have to work with that person, so you have to lean over the shoulder and see what the result is that you want. You have to be the adult, and you have to let it go, because I can't run a race carrying your bags, my bags, and everybody else's bags.
I'm Dr. Kathy Martin, and I am living proof that LaSharon Combs, Coach Shay, and UCDI leadership processes and strategic avenues work.